Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, as we're all aware, the Wuthering Waves 3.3 anniversary livestream has concluded, and there are some strong feelings, at least specifically in global, regarding the update. While it does have a metric ton of polls and a ton of rewards that we've already covered already, it's genuinely one of the most generous patches we've had in the history of the game. There are still some individuals out there that are very, very, very unhappy. And one of the biggest reasons for why they're actually unhappy is the fact that things like the anniversary banner, all of that, it's not making a return. However, you can't necessarily blame Kuro Games for making that decision, specifically due to the fact that there were so many individuals, content creators as well, just bitching and moaning about the fact that these things were in there. And now we have another crazy source of misinformation right out of the gate. Apparently, we got a shit posting account over here that just spreads misinformation, Adam Bob. The CN community is not happy. And to provide proof of how unhappy the CN community is, they just showed a photo of the live stream video and nothing else. Yeah, no, that was their glue. That was their evidence. CN is not happy, and it's just a photo of the video stats. However, people have gone ahead. They've done a little bit of digging. Some people that were actually able to translate Chinese and all of that jazz. So people have gone ahead and they've done a little bit of digging. And this digging was being done as a direct response to people, well, insinuating, right, that other regions are actually very unhappy. But the truth is, well, the truth is a lot different. Because we've got posts. One over here by Mr. Jean Simon, where he's gone ahead and actually looked at the comments, some of the most highly upvoted ones surrounding this live stream. And don't worry, we've actually got a translated version of the comments as well, so we can do a little bit of digging ourselves. So let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the best hits over here. Literally, just click on the post and read, and you'll see that there's no Kuro fucked up types of comments. Remember, this is being made in response to somebody saying the CA community is unhappy. Most of it is all positives, and the only complaints that there are, why there are no reruns, and it's because they know that people complained last year. The complaint is that there aren't any of the rerun banners. That's the one thing people are unhappy about, but they know it's not Kuro's fault because that's them just listening, unfortunately, listening to some of the most parts of the player base. Because you see over here, predatory banners, not even 100% rate up, 6.7k likes. Claiming running 12 banners at once is very player friendly on an anniversary is a big low point from the stream. 2.7k over here. Rerunning 10 banners in one patch. This one has been discussed many times, but I can't stop thinking. You were never thinking in the first place, about how free-to-play unfriendly this decision is. 2.9k likes. And then when you accompany this with like more and more memes regarding the matter, right? And then you even get public statements, right? From some of the goofiest CCs in the space. Let me just play one over here for you guys. You're going to love this one.
For the lower end. And it's strange to me because they went for lower end like, bro, they're taking like a page out of Genshin right here. And I know that the game may be like derived from it, but like, you're really going to bring back every banner at the same time other than Shorekeeper and Cantarella? You're going to bring back all those banners.
Obviously, he's shitting on the reruns. But this is a really, really, really funny response, right? You can see over here, you got Genizad, Mr. 7 out of 10, easily the biggest grifter in the Wuthering Waves space, bitching and moaning about the reruns. But then on this podcast, right after the anniversary, well, let's just listen to the take that this guy had.
There's actually nothing wrong with rerun banners.
There's actually nothing wrong with rerun banners. This dude, after bitching and moaning about the reruns, proceeds to say 1 whole year later,
there's actually nothing wrong with rerun banners.
That is the type of dialogue surrounding this anniversary currently. You can probably tell why Global is such a shit show because it's full of literal LARPers. Bro, it's full of literal people that are just pretending to play the game, pretending to have takes, and can't even address the fact that they're doing complete 180s compared to last year and saying the most imaginable just to be on the side of players. That's what you call grifting. This is some griftiest Maximus shit over here. And of course, when you have a little bitch like Genizad, who's easily the most sensitive creator in the space, who's like bro is basically the Incredible Sulk, of course nobody's gonna call him out because he's probably gonna start chipping out and making his room even messier than it actually is. Like, bro, I cannot believe this dude just gets onto calls looking like that. It looks like fucking a tornado was in there, bro. Anyways, that's the situation regarding global. And as you can see, that's not reflected in CN. But you're still going to have other LARPers, other grifters, other people pretending to be Wuthering Waves players try to insinuate that the opposite is taking place. So why don't we read some of these comments? There are indeed quite a few benefits. The main one is the character reruns, recreations. Everyone assumed that all characters would be reran, but that wasn't the case. It's understandable since last year's attempt at rerunning all the characters was met with criticism. The CN player base knows. It's a good patch. It's got a lot of great things in it, but they really wanted the anniversary reruns back, but they know people were bitching and moaning about them so much. But now, there are more and more new characters being added. Many old characters won't be reran for a long time. You want to know how long it's been for some units? Gion, last rerun, last anniversary. Same thing with Camellia, version 2.2, actually before that. She only had 2 reruns, by the way. Jinxie, 2.3, last year's anniversary. Chang Li, 2.3. Jeja, 2.3. Yidlin, 2.3. Shang Liao, 2.3. And of course, the Shorekeeper, 2.6. That's why people wanted these reruns, because some individuals wanted the opportunity to pull some of those old units. And God forbid it's a character, right? Like Brant. God forbid, right? It's a character like, who knows, maybe like Rosia, Carlotta, any of those. They haven't been seen for a long fucking time. Maybe Genizad was saying that reruns aren't an issue because he was trying to get his S7 Rosia. That could probably be what's going on. Or maybe he was trying to R5 her weapon for his queen. Who knows, right? Maybe that's why he had such a shift. He thought he was going to be able to get a couple more copies of this character. Unfortunately, that didn't really pan out for him, did it? That's the situation over here. And remember, that is a majority, a summary of the comments. Let's keep reading. 20 gold balls, pulls, limited pulls, 10 weapon pulls, and 10 permanent character draws are given directly upon signing in. There's also the 5 available through regular sign-ins, and then there's the usual draw for 10 items event that requires consuming a certain number of resources, the rebate event, just like last year. The benefits aren't anything spectacular. However, last year, people complained about the mixed pool feature. This year, since it's not available, people are complaining again. It's really hard to please everyone. However, this is kind of like the situation. We actually go on over to the official thread, right? This is the actual Billy comment section. And people ran some comparisons. They actually took a look at the polls being given out across the big 4 gacha games. And, well, the realization is actually kind of clear. Wuthering Waves is giving out the most, has the lowest pity, has the most events, and the most new regions and maps added. So, content-wise, it is so much better than all the other games. Rewards-wise, it's so much better than the other games. And pity-wise, it's lower than the other games. And you want to know what's not even listed out here that's obviously one of the biggest draws of Wuwa? The fact that the weapon banner is completely guaranteed. It's 100%. That's not even listed on here, and all these games have 75-25, 75-25, and then whatever the fuck Genshin's weapon banner is. It's worse than these two, which is, well, surprising. It's kind of impressive, to be honest. That's what people posted over here. That's what's being posted in the actual comment section over in CN. People know that this is better than the other games. That's the viewpoint that CN has. Bit of a far cry, right? Bit of a far cry from saying the CN community is not very happy, is it? I'm quite satisfied with the overall approach, but to be fair, last year there weren't many characters. This year, many old characters weren't brought back at all. It makes sense to have a mix of reruns this year. And to be honest, the Wuthering Waves community is absolutely crazy for shitting on it so much last year. Interesting, isn't it? The character pool needs to be updated. It can't just stay the same because some people complain. Players, after all, can adapt to the game despite their complaints. Both new players and experienced players rely on the updates during the anniversary celebration. Besides, right now, the overall damage output of Ming Chao secondary characters is quite low, so they're talking about some of the character buffs and stuff like that as well. Last year's comment section. Where's the rerun pool in this year's comment section? That's it. People are just asking where the anniversary reruns are. That is the main complaint from CN. Where is this? But then again, when you have grifting rat fuck CCs talking so much about how bad and how predatory it is, but then proceeding to do a complete 180, and then you had this many people complaining last year about something that wasn't an issue. Bro, I bet half the people that were making these posts and upvoting this shit didn't even play the game. They were just looking for a reason, looking for a way to try to dunk on Wuwa. Absolutely Joker behavior, and it's unfortunate. I truly admire the development team behind Wuthering Waves. In a community full of pointless criticism and praise, they managed to identify and implement those 0.5% of ideas that actually bring real improvements to the game. They're talking about the quality of life. They're probably talking about the flying bike. They're probably talking about all of the actual features. They're probably talking about all of the insane new features that were put into this patch. From a content angle, this patch is absolutely fucking insane. From an event count angle, this patch is absolutely insane. There's so much stuff that's in here. And then I think the craziest part is how long they spent on the fucking optimizations piece, bro. It was actually unreal how much quality of life they managed to stuff into the anniversary patch. Things like storage size, all of that, adding in animations for the weapon conbeans, all of this stuff too. They speed ran the fuck out of this. And so that's what they're talking about when it comes to the optimizations. That's what they're talking about when it comes to the 0.5%. But instead, all you're going to have is people still trying to find a reason to complain. I talked about, right, this podcast over here having some animals on it. Do you want to see what this animal literally said, bro? Just check this shit out. Look at the title of their reaction. The worst adversary in gacha. When it is quite easily, you could just take a look at the fucking menu here, bro. 3 main story quests, 5 sub-regions, and an entirely new expansion to the fucking map. And this many events to have a bunch of content to do during the patch. One of the things that 2.3, last year's anniversary, was heavily criticized for. Because 2.3 was effectively a filler patch with the anniversary added on. Good lord. And the first thing that we say is that this patch is just an ad because there's like bike skins and collabs. Good lord. You can clearly see that there are some people over here that instead of coming up with complaints, they should come up for ways to eat more salad. What the fuck even is this? This is what they decide to focus on. The fact that there's like a couple of items in the store, as opposed to, I don't fucking know, the massive amount of content that's in this patch? Do you see why people think global is a joke? This is why, because you got CCs like this, you got CCs like this, and of course, you got just meetups where nobody is holding each other accountable. You can just say whatever the fuck you want, and it doesn't matter. Bro, it's a fucking embarrassment. And so naturally, when you have even like shit posters in the community too, trying to insinuate CN's not happy, but all you see are people saying that it's actually a good update. Good lord. No wonder it's this embarrassing. No wonder people think global's a joke. And I can't blame them. I can't blame anybody. By ignoring all the unnecessary negativity and focusing solely on improving the game's quality, they've created a great community environment, at least in CN. Any team that lacks autonomy would eventually fail in such a situation. That's why I keep playing the game, even though I get nothing in return. But unfortunately, they still listen to the most parts of the player base. And now that's why we have no anniversary rerun banners, when that is what people really, really, really wanted. And of course, we got CN making memes as well, talking about the goofy ass ways, right? I think in HSR, one of the best ways of getting polls is to like enter a fucking lottery or some shit, right? Shit like that. I said Wuthering Waves should spin the wheel. Those people would be happy if you gave away 3 draws. Now they're just making fun of the Hoyoverse community. Isn't this supposed to be breaking it down into monthly subscriptions with 30 sign-ins required over 3 months? Yeah, people talking about how generous ZZZ is because they, instead of just giving out the polls, they give you a monthly pass instead. So basically, it's like, please play our game. We need activity. And instead of just giving out the polls like any other game, they force you to sign in to get them. That's what the monthly pass, the super generous one, actually was. All those polls simply extended out over 30 days because they're desperate to have you sign into the game. Giving away 40 plus free pulls directly won't work. We need to offer a monthly card with 12 draws spread over 30 days, 7-day login to receive 3 draws, 800 currency distributed over 2 days, and a veteran caveman or a longtime NPC character. That's a lot of perks. Bro, they're just taking shots at everything over here when it comes to the Hoyoverse games, because that's where you know all this astroturfing is coming from. And remember, when this is the reality, and you'll still have people saying that Wuwa's anniversary is somehow worse than any of these other games, how? What? You just see it right here, bro. You see it right here. It's better. It's already better. And so, why don't we go ahead and just take a look, see if CN's actually pissed, because we've got the exact video. We've got the exact video over here that was outlined as the CN community is not happy. Let's see how unhappy they are. And remember, we got this sorted by hottest. So that's going to be the comments with the most engagement. Let's take a look at this. Children, even though there are thousands of roads that cannot... Obviously, this is someone just making a joke about some of the events. Clearly, the person over here is not very mad. I think they're just memeing. Probably, I've got no idea what's going on over here. They're talking about, like, child safety or something like that. The PV Mark frame reached the screen, and the Ming Mecha, the Wing... I think this is the Exo Strider, and the Tunneler fought each other. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Stop rolling down. You should rest. Bury a little good stuff. Maybe you can pick it up tomorrow. Yeah, I don't see anybody complaining about anything here. I don't see a single complaint about anything in here in the comments section. All I see is like a bunch of memes and references that I can't fucking understand, because I guess it's like some cultural regional Chinese stuff. It's a shame to not mix up the pool. I think there should be a lot of players who have fallen into the trap this year. Okay, we got somebody, and the only complaint that we've seen, guys, is a lack of reruns. That's it. The only complaint I've seen is a lack of fucking reruns. There's nothing else. And the reason for why there are no reruns is just because people were bitching and moaning about them. Some of these comments aren't translated. We're going to give it a second over here. And a free 5-star? I haven't seen a single comment complaining about a lack of a free 5-star. I haven't seen a single one complaining about a lack of free 5-stars, as far as I'm concerned. Or if they have been made, they're not getting upvoted. I prepared 2 sets of opposing statements and decided which one to use based on the wind direction in the comment section. Now they're making jokes about doom posting. You said it's your anniversary, so at least give me a character. Oh no, then give me a skin. Oh no, then give me 2 ornaments. Oh no, then at least give me some news about the collaboration. I want to know if Lucy and David still have it. How's Martinez doing? There's a lot of linkage products. At least something to eat and drink. Also, no matter what, happy anniversary. I will stay with you for another year. Great. Somebody that's mildly complaining a little bit about no new character and stuff like that, but they're still saying, otherwise it's pretty good. Why is there no selection pool? New players have no team. Does the old pool still have a chance to come for the selection pool? So we saw one comment, right? I wanted to find one complaining about the lack of free 5-star. There's one of them over there, but genuinely, all we see is people talking about the lack of reruns. That's it. That is the dominating opinion over here, over in CN. And there's pretty much very mild complaints pretty much everywhere else. There are indeed a lot of benefits, mainly the rerun pool, and now this person's just glazing. That is the take from CN. And as you can clearly see, this is like a complete 180 compared to last year, ladies and gentlemen, where there were people complaining and stuff like that, right? This year, there's nothing. And as far as I'm concerned, why don't we get our resident Japanese guy, right? Or really, white guy pretending to be Japanese. Let's take a look at Ryuku Sensei, right? And see what the take is in Japan. Everyone seems upset about the anniversary rewards, but I'm looking at the reaction in JP at the moment, and it seems to be a repeat of last year. JP, for the most part, seems pretty chill. So JP doesn't care, probably upset by the lack of reruns. CN doesn't care, mostly upset about the lack of reruns. But then we have Global chimping out, when this is the reality. That sucks, doesn't it? That sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah, no, there's nothing in the comments over here to read. So basically, this is how you can surmise the situation. And I think it's kind of obvious here, ladies and gentlemen. The dialogue, the complaints surrounding this anniversary, it's mainly just going to be allocated to global. Because you have a bunch of dipshit grifting CCs that are so happy, right, to jump on the kill Wuthering Waves, kill Kuro Games bandwagon. When in reality, you look at this patch, you look at all the content in it. This is what I publicly said about it. This is like a 9.5 out of 10 update. It is one of the best looking updates we've had in the history of the game, content-wise, blah, 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 all of that. It looks fucking amazing. Quality of life, new bike with flight, all of that, 3 story quests, so many events, it's almost unreal. And of course, new Sonata sets and stuff like that that are very well thought out, very easy for players to farm, and a big benefit to their account. All of that is in there. And my opinion is that the anniversary, unfortunately, doesn't really feel like an anniversary, because I think that this event is kind of shitty looking. But when you have so many people complaining about the Cube Combat event that I actually thought was great, right? The Cube Combat event was bitched and moaned about so much, and so they replaced it with, like, Pinball, which I guess is going to be done a lot faster. Bro, when you take a look at the rewards that have already been announced for this update, there's so much stuff in here, man. There's so much fucking rewards in here, it's insane. Like, bro, the Cube Pinball event gives 1,200 Astrite. Then you got Depths of the Elusive Realm back 2? That's just ridiculous. And I think there's also this one really good comment over here that I haven't seen yet that I do want to pull up. It's a CN player talking about why they're happy with this update. This is the version over here. This is the translated one. Everything has changed this year. Just a bit of info. All the things people complained about during last year's anniversary has been fixed this year. Last year, the Fontaine planning team arranged a light comedy-style performance for Liney. They're making a Genshin Impact reference joke here, which got mocked as awkward and cringe. This year, the Fontaine planners didn't even show up, and Liney only appeared briefly for 2 minutes before leaving. Last year, people complained there were too many pre-show programs and too few rewards. It's supposed to be a game anniversary. This year, they removed the programs entirely and just gave out the rewards directly. Even more than last year after adjustments. Yes, this patch is already slated to have way more rewards than version 2.3. They also released a flowchart at the end to prevent assassin-type players. And this is the flowchart they're talking about, so nobody can get it fucking twisted, right? And I'm pretty sure this is a direct address to fucking grifters like Jetazad. Bro, we gotta play another clip from this fucking freak. Get ready for this one.
I mean, one of them is the most anticipated character, like, ever. And you're only gonna give, like, 20 pulls? Like, how many pulls are we gonna get in this whole patch compared to last patch?
Let me just show you the actual rewards of the 2.3 anniversary. Yeah, no, that looks like 20 pulls to me. Yeah, that looks like 20 pulls to me. Yep, that is definitely 20 pulls. Yes, sirree. So that's what Kuro did to prevent the that clearly plagues a lot of content creators from being a little bit, from affecting their judgment too much. And that's what they're talking about over here, right? When it comes to these assassin-type players. The only thing that's getting assassinated over here is everyone's IQ that happens to be listening to the garbage that they're spewing out. Last year, the rerun pool was a full 24-character pool. This year, they simply didn't do it because people were bitching and moaning so much. But this is the one thing people are complaining about the most. Last year, there were no new maps. This year, they doubled down and released a massive new map. That looks amazing. Last year, there was no new story. This year, there are 2 interludes plus 1 main storyline, totaling, likely, 8 hours. Last year, there were too few events and they dragged on too long. This year, there are over a dozen events, ranging from combat to minigames. Basically, look at this shit. Look at that. Basically everything. And last year's movie festival event was too stingy, Dreaming Deep. This year, it returns to the original roguelike enhanced version, focusing purely on combat. Great, right? We see it right here. Depths of the Elusive Realm is backed by popular demand. That's getting called out, too. And last year, the security system was too restrictive. This year, everyone gets dual modes with 2 supports per person. I'm not sure exactly what they mean over here. Are they talking about, like, resonance modes and stuff like that? Or are they talking about, like, the 2 forms? Yeah, maybe maybe they're talking about the fact that, yeah, these two characters have, like, two forms and stuff like that, or, like, they're talking about the fact that, like, Amith has Fusion Burst as well as Tune Rupture. Some DPSs are more flexible. Lene has Tune Rupture as well as, like, Tune Strain. They're talking about how the kits have basically become more flexible, and some units, right, you basically get 2 for the price of 1. Basically, a direct opposition to the Zani Phoebe disaster situation that occurred literally last anniversary, and by proxy, the Chakotay Cardathea one. 2 characters that need each other, and if you don't have them on the team, you're basically fucked. So that's something as well. This post over here, I think, really puts a good cap on it of how much Kuro actually listed for this anniversary. And remember, the lack of reruns is really the only complaint that we've been seeing in CN. But you'll still have in the space whose only objective over here is to LARP and grift and say that the CN community is not happy when that couldn't be further from the truth. But that's the situation, guys. Grifting in this situation is going to be very popular for a lot of people because clearly these idiots are just trying to appeal to the other gacha communities. They just really want to get the W's from HSR, the W's from ZZZ, the W's from Genshin, when this is the truth regarding the matter. Your anniversaries are worse. Accept it. No matter what kind of bullshit you want to say, no matter what kind of bullshit narrative you're trying to spread, your anniversaries are just worse. Even if you look at the rewards only, Wuwa is better. And when you look at the actual content in the update, things to do, activities to be had, and of course, the quality of the actual units, everything's better in this game. And so naturally, you're going to see a lot of people pissed off really, really, really badly. But that's what happens when a game actually does something well. This patch is also coming out with a fuck ton of quality of life too, bro. Like, what even is this? Nobody expected or saw any of this shit coming, but they just put it in anyways. And it didn't even have to be done in an update like this when there's already so much additional shit that's already there. But that's just how much was actually added in this patch. So can you really blame this guy over here for missing the quality of life? Probably not. Because gameplay-wise, content-wise, this anniversary blows every other gacha out of the fucking water. But you're still going to have people complaining about the polls. You're still going to have people bitching and moaning about the lack of rerun banners. Well, you idiots only have yourselves to blame for that. And of course, your retarded representative over here, who's just always on the player's side.
There's actually nothing wrong with rerun banners.
Right after this dude was out here bitching and moaning about like fucking
same time other than Shorekeeper and Cantarella, you're gonna bring back all those banners.
What a bum. What a grifting, LARPing joker of a fucking CC. How does anyone take this guy seriously? And how did nobody call this fucking grifter out? How did nobody call him out on this thing? What a joke. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, Global is always going to be known as the laughingstock in the gacha space because you got idiots like this representing parts of the community. And that's why we're making this video. That's why we're addressing this situation. That's why we're addressing these absolutely ridiculous fucking takes that are being had in the community. That like CN is fucking pissed. That like something crazy is going to happen. No, nobody's pissed, bro. You're just making shit up. Because you want to get the W's from the Hoyoverse, the Enfield community, whatever it is. Call the anniversary part of the patch mid, but calm down on the mid-patch part. Tons of fun events, many collabs, good UI changes, flying motorbike, 3 main story quests, the best-looking gacha characters, cool Mornier skin, insane maps, many new puzzles, depths of the elusive realm. Like we said before, 9.5 out of 10 patch, but the anniversary feels lacking, and this is one of the main reasons for why. It is what it is. So no, let's dispel the bullshit narrative. Let's dispel the idea that people are somehow unhappy with this thing. No, you're just believing a bunch of grifting, LARPing freaks that want to get W's from elsewhere. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.